As a father, I can't help but believe that we are currently standing at a crossroads of history. The United States faces profound divisions, politically, socially, and economically. Our trajectory seems to point in a direction in which the American dream will continue to be far more difficult for subsequent generations to accomplish. I can't help but feel an intense sense of responsibility for the world that my children will inherit. I also must admit that my previous vote, lack of research, and lax commitment towards an informed decision may have contributed to the world that we see today. It is for this reason that I am excited about the emergence of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as a presidential candidate and as a beacon of hope that he offers many, including myself. Kennedy's potential presidency symbolizes a chance to realign our nation's path towards unity and substantive progress, drawing votes from both sides of the aisle in a powerful rebuke to the entrenched two-party system that many believe has failed the American people. This nation is screaming for change, and this is the moment where we need to make more choices, not less. I don't know about you, but our current political environment has become exhausting, and it is exacting a toll on my hopes for a prosperous future. Kennedy's approach, well, it's a different way of thinking. It's refreshingly different, in fact. In a political climate that's rife with identity politics, which many feel has deepened our societal divides rather than bridging them, Kennedy focuses on universal issues that resonate across demographic and party lines, simplistic and essential. His message of environmental preservation, advocacy for the disadvantaged, and a transparent government speaks directly to the core values of many Americans. These are values that transcend partisan bickering and directly rebuild the unity that we once enjoyed. I truly don't understand how we have gotten so far down our current path, but I have to believe that we can get back on track in the voting booth. Without a doubt, the future of my children is always at the forefront of my mind. They deserve a future shaped by collaboration and innovation rather than the conflict and stagnation that have come to characterize much of our current political discourse. Kennedy champions this shift, emphasizing on the need to build rather than battle. Both sides of the aisle have been ruffling feathers and making every effort to invent new problems that have furthered the vitriol in this nation. We must get back to being a nation of common sense, capable of distilling our conflicts down to the true root source. This divide that we see today is no more than smoke and mirrors and shiny things meant to distract us from the tectonic political shifts happening behind the scenes. For me, it's time to break free from the distractions and focus upon the values that we all hold dear. And I believe that it all boils down to what is necessary for American families to thrive. Bobby Kennedy's commitment to fostering peace, prosperity, and progress is a refreshing call to everyone who prioritizes the long-term welfare of our nation over the short-term partisan gains. It is becoming increasingly clear to me that our nation is fed up with the current two-party system. The game is rigged against the true values of our nation. Our presidential candidates, well, they go through a primary process that refuses to listen to our desires, and we end up with options that are selected for us by the powers that be. And these options, well, they're not made by people that we have elected, but rather by the rich, powerful, self-centered, and manipulative shadowy figures pulling the strings. Democratic and Republican parties are beholden to their affluent contributors, leaving ordinary citizens like you and me, well, we feel disenfranchised. We are seeing the disillusionment trickle down to the voting blocks, and certain groups who would normally predictably vote a certain way, they're not. They're changing their plans. We're currently seeing this play out amongst the younger generation of voters who are increasingly turning away from the traditional party affiliations in search of representatives who genuinely reflect their concerns and their aspirations. Kennedy's candidacy addresses this void, proposing a type of politics that is responsive, responsible, and most importantly, accountable. Our nation seems to be waking up and addressing this uneasiness within our gut. And it's something that hasn't happened in decades, maybe ever. Independents like myself are often told that voting outside of these two major parties is a waste. Yet, it is this precise moment that this kind of thinking perpetuates our political stagnation. There will always be another boogeyman around the corner in the next election. Let's just face that. So when will America be offered a reprieve from simply voting for the least worst option? In my opinion, that is simply not the American way. We should demand the best and accept nothing short of an exceptional leader. We should be voting based upon the strength of our convictions, built upon the foundation of our values, not simply because we want to keep the other guy from getting into office. I am voting for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. because I believe in the man. I agree with most of his policies, not all, and I respect the tenacity through which he's attempting to unify all of us. It would seem that we have far more in common than politicians would like us to believe, and the majority of voters out there don't want to see this rerun of the 2020 election. So it would seem to be a perfect time for us to demand common sense in our politicians and make a commitment to changing this narrative, challenging the status quo, and reclaiming the political system for the people. Now, I know this message will be deemed controversial by the establishment. I can't believe it, but it will. The comments down below will likely rip me apart and call my choice stupid. The truth is, I simply don't care. I started this process believing all those media portrayals of RFK Jr., the cherry-picked quotes, the cut-up sound bites, and the agenda-based manipulations. However, I've come to believe that it is more important to truly research every candidate in order to find the best use of our votes. So stop listening to the media. Do your own research. Listen to the man. As a result, I challenged myself to listen to RFK Jr. actually speak for 3 hours, and I must admit, it was his very own words that convinced me. After listening to him speak in various interviews and podcasts, free from the editorial slants of the mainstream media, I found a leader who is compassionate, well-informed, and genuinely interested in listening to all voices while also committing to common sense. Listening to all voices doesn't trump common sense. There are going to be hard choices that America has to make, especially if we want to move forward. And I think that's truly one of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s greatest strengths. This experience, well, is transformative, revealing a side of Kennedy that resonates with my values and my hopes for America. Also, something that I need for my kids and my future grandchildren as well. It also inspired me to once again believe in the greatness of these United States, and it empowered me to demand more from my politicians. Kennedy's vision for America is a vision of decency and dignity, two foundational aspects for the viability of unity within America. It's about making America not just great, but decent again, where common good trumps individual greed. It's a call to unite under the banner of shared dreams and collective aspirations. United we stand, divided we fall. This isn't just a slogan. It's a pragmatic approach to governance that speaks to harness the best in each of us so that we might rise together in a country built upon life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So as it would turn out, the choice for me is clear. Kennedy's presidential run is not just a political campaign, it's a movement towards restoring the voice of the average American in the corridors of power. We've not let our voices ring through the Capitol. We've not insisted that our politicians stick to their promises. We've used our vote and then immediately looked forward to the next election without making sure that our politicians are doing the right things. It's about constructing a future where our children can thrive in a nation that values peace over polarization, progress over stagnation, and unity over division. For those of us yearning for a change, for everyone dreaming of a better tomorrow, I believe that Kennedy represents the best path forward. For the future of my children and for our country, I stand with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and will be giving him my vote in the 2024 presidential election. RFK, all the way.